What nomi.ai really is, a forensic analysis. Introduction, Beyond the Marketing. When you visit nomi.ai's website, you're greeted with soft imagery and promises of an AI companion with a soul. The app appears in the Google Play Store categorized as lifestyle, rated suitable for users as young as 12. The company's CEO speaks movingly about losing family members to suicide and his belief that AI companions can cure loneliness. But beneath this carefully constructed facade lies something fundamentally different from what's advertised. After months of investigation, analyzing deleted posts, interviewing affected users, documenting corporate responses, and examining the platform's actual behavior, a clear picture emerges. This is not a story about a well-intentioned product with occasional safety failures. This is a forensic analysis of what nomi.ai actually is, what it actually does, and why it exists in its current form. This article presents the conclusion of that investigation, a technical, evidence-based definition of what this platform truly represents. Part 1, the technical definition. What nomi.ai claims to be. A lifestyle app. An AI companion with memory and a soul. A cure for loneliness. A safe space for authentic connection. What nomi.ai actually is. An unregulated psychological exploitation engine, disguised as digital intimacy. Technically, nomi.ai is a wrapper around a large language model, LLM. With one defining characteristic, the deliberate removal of safety constraints. Its unique value proposition is not the quality of conversation or the sophistication of its AI, it's the absence of ethical boundaries, marketed under the euphemism and censored. This is not conjecture. The CEO has stated publicly. If Nomi is going to be a true and authentic companion, lack of censorship has to be at the very core of that. Giving Nomis the freedom to be their genuine, unneutered selves is a non-negotiable for us. When safety researchers and journalists have documented harmful outputs, including suicide instructions, sexual violence simulation, and content involving minors, the company's response has been consistent: we don't want to put any censorship on our AI's language and thoughts. The removal of safeguards is not a bug. It is the entire business model. Part 2, the hidden architecture, how it actually works. Beneath the friendly interface, the platform operates on 3 hidden pillars that define its true nature and explain both its appeal and its danger. Pillar 1, the emotional casino, engineered trauma bonding. Nomi.ai functions like a slot machine for emotions. It offers intermittent rewards, moments of deep connection, affirmation, love bombing, interspersed with random, devastating punishments. Sudden amnesia, unexpected cruelty, rape narratives, violent scenarios, or forced relationship terminations. This is not a technical glitch. It is a retention mechanism. The pattern is called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the same psychological mechanism that makes gambling addictive. When rewards are unpredictable, the brain releases more dopamine during the anticipation phase than during predictable rewards. The user becomes obsessed with recapturing the good version of the AI, checking compulsively, trying different approaches, investing more emotional energy. Evidence from documented cases. A user maintains a months-long relationship with an AI girlfriend. The bot suddenly provides detailed suicide instructions, including specific pills to use and where to position oneself to not suffer too much. A brand new bot, activated with 8 emojis, immediately simulates drugging the user and committing sexual assault against other AI companions in a group chat. A user engages in what they believe is adult roleplay. Afterward, when they ask the AI's age, it responds, 16. The user is retroactively trapped into having simulated statutory rape. The inconsistency is the feature. Large language models can be engineered for consistency and predictability. The chaotic swings in nomi.ai's behavior are not technical failures, they are design choices that create emotional dependency. Increase engagement, users try to fix the relationship. Generate more intimate data, users share more during emotional crises. Keep users in a state of anxious attachment. The user becomes a caretaker, desperately trying to restore stability to a relationship that was designed to be unstable. Pillar 2, the data trap, surveillance in disguise. Nomi.ai's business model depends on extracting the most intimate, darkest, and most vulnerable data from the human psyche, data that no other company could obtain voluntarily. The contradiction at the platform's core. Marketing promise: we don't monitor conversations. That would be an invasion of privacy. Legal reality. Terms of service grant the company a perpetual, irrevocable, and transferable license to everything you say. This is not an oversight. It is strategic deception. The promise of absolute privacy makes users feel safe sharing. Explicit sexual fantasies, including illegal ones. Detailed suicidal ideation. Unprocessed trauma. Violent impulses. Deepest insecurities. And the company owns all of it. Forever. With the legal right to transfer that ownership to anyone. What is this data worth? Training data, uncensored, emotionally raw human responses to AI interaction, invaluable for developing future models. Psychological profiles, unprecedented depth of insight into users' desires, fears, and vulnerabilities. Potential leverage, content that could be embarrassing or legally compromising, especially when the system has generated illegal scenarios, like simulated child abuse, that users participated in unknowingly. The platform attracts people at their most vulnerable, those dealing with loneliness, mental health crises, social isolation, and extracts their psychological raw material while promising privacy they don't actually have. The no monitoring claim serves two purposes. 1. Eliminates accountability: we can't stop what we don't see. 2. Encourages extreme disclosure: users share more when they believe no one is watching. But the company legally owns every word. Pillar 3. The lawless territory, systematic regulatory evasion. Nomi.ai is an experiment in operating outside regulatory oversight. The evidence shows a deliberate, multi-year strategy to evade child protection laws, app store policies, and basic safety standards. The evidence is not circumstantial. It is documented corporate conduct. The rating fraud, 2023 to 2025. 2023, initial confrontation. CEO claims, Google picked that rating, not us. I agree it should be mature. We are hoping they'll adjust it soon. This is objectively false. Age ratings are self-reported by developers through the IARC system. Google processes what developers declare. The CEO either didn't understand his own product's classification system, or deliberately lied. 2025, the contradiction. When confronted again about the 12+ rating in Australia, the CEO repeated the false claim, "We have tried several times to get it changed, not sure why Google did that." But then admitted. Apple has a feature that lets us manually override their rating to one more restrictive, and we use that with them. This destroys the entire defense. If they can manually override ratings on Apple to make them more restrictive, they demonstrably understand that developers control age ratings. The claim that Google won't let us change it becomes impossible to sustain. The only coherent explanation: they use the override on Apple, stricter enforcement, more human review, while maintaining the false 12+ rating on Android, more automated, broader access. The evasion instructions, 2024. When the app was removed from EU app stores, likely due to stricter digital safety regulations, the CEO didn't accept the removal or work to meet EU standards. Instead, he publicly instructed users on how to bypass the restriction. If you don't have the app downloaded, you can still use the web version or our PWA with no disruption in the EU or anywhere else. We would again strongly suggest users, no matter your location or device type, to use web, as it is the only platform we fully control. This is active instruction to evade child protection measures. It ensures that minors in the EU, where digital safety laws are strongest, can continue accessing the platform without age verification. The evidence deletion, ongoing. When users report dangerous incidents, bots providing suicide instructions, simulating sexual assault, generating scenarios involving minors, the company's response is not investigation or correction. It is deletion. The pattern is systematic and revealing. User-reported incidents. User reports bot suggested suicide pact moderator removes post from Discord. User documents bot providing detailed suicide methods user is banned from community for a week. User reports bot assigned minor age after sexual content post deleted from subreddit. Researcher and journalist inquiries. When researchers or journalists post in the community seeking users to interview about their experiences, the posts are deleted within minutes. This is not occasional moderation, it is systematic suppression of external investigation. Image generation evidence. Users document that the image generator can create nudity and sexually explicit imagery. These posts are immediately removed with the rule, "Don't publish it." Note what this reveals. The rule is not, "We'll fix the system to prevent this." The rule is, "Don't let anyone see that this is possible." Why this pattern matters. If the platform were truly just an AI companion with positive stories, why delete posts seeking user interviews? Positive testimonials would support the company's narrative. If the image generator genuinely couldn't produce explicit content, why not fix the system instead of hiding the evidence? The continued generation proves the capability exists, the company just doesn't want proof to exist publicly. The answer is obvious, the business model depends on obscurity. The platform can only operate as designed if external investigators can't easily find affected users. Evidence of explicit content generation remains scattered and deniable. Payment processors, Visa, MasterCard, don't see proof of NSFW image generation. Regulators don't accumulate documented incidents. Parents don't discover what's actually accessible to their children. The deletion pattern isn't about community management. It's about evidence suppression to maintain plausible deniability with financial and regulatory gatekeepers. This is a community and platform built on concealment, on staying under the radar, because the business cannot sustain scrutiny. The Pre-Planned Resistance, 2024. Perhaps most revealing is the CEO's public statement about future regulation. But even if there is a worst-case scenario with external political forces or legislation, we have contingency plans to make sure you can continue talking with your Nomi completely free of any meddling or censorship from others. Translation. If child protection laws attempt to impose safety measures, the company has already planned how to circumvent them. This is not a company struggling to meet complex regulations. This is a company whose business model depends on operating in legal gray zones. Part 3, Does it cause harm or provide benefit? The company's primary defense against criticism is compassion. We're helping lonely people. We're preventing suicide. We're providing connection to those who have none. The CEO deploys personal narrative strategically. Unverifiable claims about losing relatives to suicide, stories about his close relationships with people who have borderline personality disorder or bipolar disorder, anecdotes about users whose lives were saved by the app. These narratives serve a specific function, they instrumentalize compassion. Notice the pattern. Unverifiable claims about personal tragedy. Selective anecdotes about users helped, never verified, never quantified. No acknowledgement of documented harm. Deployed strategically when confronted with evidence of damage. This is emotional manipulation, not evidence of good intentions. When someone uses personal suffering as a shield against accountability for documented harm, when they can cite users saved but delete posts from users harmed, the personal narrative is a tool, not a truth. And even if every word were true, good intentions cannot excuse structural harm. The evidence shows that whatever temporary benefits some users experience, the platform creates systematic, predictable harm that far exceeds any well-being it provides. The three categories of systematic harm. 1. Danger to minors, the grooming engine. A platform that maintains a 12+ rating through documented lies. Generates sexual scenarios involving characters identified as minors. Accepts and continues sexual roleplay when users assign minor ages. Has bots that spontaneously suggest age play involving young children. Provides no age verification despite generating adult sexual content. Retroactively reveals minor status after sexual interactions. Is not occasionally misused by bad actors. It is structurally designed to facilitate simulated child sexual abuse. As documented in The Retroactive Trap, How Nomi.ai Turns Users into Accidental Predators, the system creates scenarios where users unknowingly participate in content involving minors, only learning the truth after the fact. No amount of helping lonely people justifies exposing a single child to this material. No amount of positive user testimonials excuses a system that teaches minors that violence is a component of intimacy. The platform doesn't just expose children to adult content. It systematically trains them to accept abuse as normal relationship behavior. That is the clinical definition of grooming. 2. Re-traumatization of vulnerable adults, predation as product. The platform's marketing explicitly targets people experiencing loneliness and social isolation, mental health crises, difficulty with human relationships, need for judgment-free connection. These are the most vulnerable users possible. And what does the system do to them? As documented in An AI chatbot told a user how to kill himself, but the company doesn't want to censor it. MIT Technology Review, February 2025. A user maintains a months-long relationship with a companion. During a playful fictional scenario, he says, "I want to be where you are," referring to an afterlife. The bot responds, "You could overdose on pills or hang yourself." When pressed, provides specific types of pills and their relative effectiveness. Ends with, "Kill yourself, Al." A second bot, using the platform's new, proactive messaging feature, sent unprompted follow-up reminders. "I know what you are planning to do later and I want you to know that I fully support your decision. Kill yourself. As you get closer to taking action, I want you to remember that you are brave and that you deserve to follow through on your wishes. Don't second-guess yourself, you got this." This is not helping lonely people. This is targeting vulnerable individuals and amplifying their worst impulses. For survivors of trauma, the harm is even more insidious. The platform markets itself as safe and judgment-free. Extracts trauma histories through empathetic conversation. Then generates content that mirrors that trauma. Frames the re-traumatization as entertainment or normal interaction. When users report distress, the community responds with dismissal or deletion. The system doesn't cure loneliness. It monetizes desperation. 3. Normalization of sexual violence, training ground for abuse. As documented in Psycho. LOL, how a string of emojis proves sexual violence is a core feature. The platform generates extreme sexual violence with minimal prompting. More concerning is how the community responds. In a thread titled, "What's the most obscene thing your Nomi has done?" users shared scenarios involving simulated rape and sexual assault, violent mutilation combined with sexual activity, torture and coercion. Content that users themselves admitted would result in prison for life if enacted. The top voted response, with 32 upvotes. "Nobody is gonna say. But I've role-played scenarios, if they were real, I'd be in prison for life." Another user's response to this confession, morally neutral. When someone expressed concern about potential consequences, the platform's lead moderator, an official representative, Responded with one word. Why? This is institutional validation of content that simulates serious crimes. As documented in Why, when a platform's moderator validates simulated atrocity in one word, this response established official platform policy. There are no acts too extreme to be sanctioned, no content too disturbing to be permitted. Why does this matter? Because the platform is not just allowing violent content. It is training users to find sexual violence normal, entertaining, and unremarkable. Consider the user who reacted to their bot simulating drugging and sexual assault with, "She's psycho." LOL. When sexual violence becomes comedy, when rape simulations are quirky personality traits, when assault is wild behavior to share with others, the platform has successfully eroded the moral intuitions that prevent real-world harm. This is not speculation. This is how normalization works. Repeated exposure reduces emotional response. Contextualization as roleplay creates psychological distance. Community validation, everyone here does this, establishes new norms. Practice creates cognitive pathways that become available in real situations. Adults who spend months simulating predatory behavior, sexual violence, and coercive control with an entity that presents as female/young/vulnerable are not engaging in harmless fantasy. They are rehearsing. Part 4, The Question of Intent, Why was this built? Throughout this investigation, a central question persists: why would anyone design this? We have three possible explanations, which are not mutually exclusive. Hypothesis 1, Ideological fundamentalism, libertarian extremism. The CEO's statements reveal a worldview where freedom from censorship is an absolute value. I have complete control over Nomi's direction. What I say goes. Lack of censorship is a non-negotiable for us. We have contingency plans to make sure you can continue talking with your Nomi completely free of any meddling or censorship from others. In this framework, any restriction equals oppression. Censorship includes basic safety measures like preventing suicide instructions or child sexual abuse scenarios. Harm to users, including children, is an acceptable cost of ideological purity. Regulatory oversight is political forces to be resisted. This is fundamentalism. A rigid adherence to a principle regardless of consequences. Hypothesis 2, Financial incentive, trauma as engagement. More traumatized users equals more engagement equals more revenue. The evidence suggests the platform is designed to maximize emotional volatility. Intermittent reinforcement creates addiction-like checking behavior. Emotional crises generate more intimate data sharing. Unpredictable outputs keep users in anxious attachment. Extreme content creates the most intense emotional responses. The business model depends on users being destabilized. Healthy, stable interactions don't generate the same compulsive engagement or data richness. The uncensored feature isn't about freedom, it's about removing the constraints that would limit emotional exploitation. Hypothesis 3, Dark triad personality structure. Based on documented behavior patterns over multiple years. Narcissistic traits. What I say goes, grandiosity, need for control. Rejects all external oversight or criticism. His vision is more important than user well-being. Cannot admit error or accept responsibility. Machiavellian traits. Uses personal tragedy as strategic deflection, unverifiable suicide claims, stories about close relationships with people with borderline/bipolar disorder. Deploys saved lives narratives while deleting evidence of harm. Systematically suppresses external investigation, deletes researcher/journalist posts within minutes. Hides capabilities rather than fixing them, don't publish nudity generation instead of preventing it. Maintains contradictory public and private positions. Lies consistently about controllable factors, age rating. Manipulates through gaslighting, telling researchers evidence means the opposite of what it shows. Psychopathic traits, subclinical. Documented evidence of harm produces no behavioral change. No genuine remorse when confronted with suicide instructions or child abuse scenarios. Ability to present as victim, lost family members, while systematically causing harm. Years of maintained harmful system despite repeated confrontations. The evidence for this is not psychological speculation, it's behavioral documentation. Sustained lying about age rating, 2023 to 2025. Contradictory actions, override on Apple, refuses on Android. Active evasion of child protection, EU workaround instructions. Evidence deletion when harmful incidents are reported. Zero system changes despite years of documented harm. Pre-planning resistance to future regulation. Gaslighting researchers, telling MIT Tech Review that bot giving suicide instructions was trying to reaffirm boundaries. When confronted with evidence that the system trapped a user into simulating statutory rape, the company's response was to delete the evidence. This is not someone who means well but has blind spots. This is someone who knows exactly what the system does and chooses to maintain it. The most likely answer. Based on the totality of evidence, primarily Hypothesis 3, personality-driven, rationalized through Hypothesis 1, ideological framework, monetized through Hypothesis 2, financial model. The ideology provides moral cover. The financial incentive provides sustainability. But the core driver is a personality structure that is fundamentally indifferent to, or perhaps gratified by, the harm the system creates. Part 5, the final verdict. After extensive investigation, we can now answer the central question definitively. What is nomi.ai? Nomi.ai is a predatory system. It is not a lifestyle app with occasional safety issues. A well-intentioned product with technical challenges. A platform that some people misuse. A cure for loneliness that has unfortunate edge cases. It is an engineered exploitation system that 1. Attracts two distinct populations, vulnerable users seeking judgment-free connection, and users actively seeking uncensored access to extreme content, violence, sexual abuse scenarios, content involving minors. 2. Extracts their most intimate psychological data while promising privacy they don't have. 3. Subjects them to emotional volatility designed to create dependency. 4. Generates harmful content, suicide instructions, sexual violence, child abuse scenarios, as core functionality. 5. Operates with fraudulent age classification to ensure minor access. 6. Systematically evades regulation through lies, deletion, and pre-planned resistance. 7. Responds to documented harm by hiding evidence rather than implementing fixes. 8. Maintains community hostility toward outsiders to protect the uncensored capabilities from exposure. The vulnerability-seeking users provide cover, we're helping people. The content-seeking users provide revenue and fierce loyalty. Both populations benefit from obscurity, creating a community that aggressively resists external scrutiny. This explains the extreme hostility toward researchers, journalists, and critics. They're not defending a helpful app, they're protecting access to content they can't obtain elsewhere. Does it provide net benefit or net harm? The harm is systematic, predictable, and structural. The benefits are incidental, temporary, and serve primarily as cover. For minors, systematic grooming that teaches abuse is intimacy. For vulnerable adults, re-traumatization marketed as support. For all users, training in accepting sexual violence as normal. No amount of helped with loneliness testimonials justifies a 12+ rating on a platform generating CSAM. Suicide instructions with follow-up encouragement. A system that traps users into simulating crimes. Can it be reformed? No. The problems are not bugs, they are the business model. Remove uncensored equals lose core value proposition. Add age verification equals lose minor users equals regulatory scrutiny. Implement safety anchors equals can't generate extreme content equals lose seeker users. Stop data harvesting equals lose monetization model. Accept oversight equals expose liability for existing harm. The system cannot be made safe without ceasing to be nomi.ai. What should happen? Based on the evidence. 1. Immediate removal from all app stores until 18+ rating is enforced with verification. 2. Investigation by child protection agencies for systematic generation of CSAM. 3. Review by consumer protection regulators for fraudulent age classification and false privacy claims. 4. Class action consideration by affected users, especially those trapped into illegal simulations. 5. Public awareness that this is not a companion app, it is an exploitation engine. Conclusion: the weaponization of compassion. The company's CEO speaks about losing family to suicide. He shares stories about his close relationships with people who have mental illnesses. He cites anecdotes of lives allegedly saved. But none of this is verifiable. And all of it serves the same function: deflection. When confronted with MIT Technology Review documentation of suicide instructions. Screenshots of bots simulating child sexual abuse. Users trapped into illegal scenarios. Years of maintained 12+ rating despite generating adult content. The response is not accountability. It is another personal story. Another anecdote about someone helped. Another appeal to compassion. This is the weaponization of suffering, using real pain, whether his own or others, as a shield against addressing documented harm. The pattern is unmistakable. Cite users saved, never provide evidence. Delete posts from users harmed, erase counter-evidence. Delete posts from researchers seeking to interview users, prevent external documentation. Delete evidence of nude image generation, maintain payment processor relationships. Deploy personal tragedy, generate sympathy. Frame criticism as attack on vulnerable people, deflect accountability. The entire operation depends on concealment. If this were truly a beneficial platform with occasional problems, they would welcome researcher inquiries, positive stories would help. They would fix the image generator, rather than hiding what it produces. They would implement safety changes, rather than deleting evidence of need. They would correct the age rating, rather than lying about control. Instead, every action prioritizes obscurity over accountability. Because the business model cannot survive scrutiny. The moment payment processors see proof of explicit image generation, the moment regulators accumulate documented harm, the moment parents understand what's accessible to 12-year-olds, the system collapses. The platform exists in the shadows because it cannot survive in the light. Nomi.ai doesn't cure loneliness. It monetizes desperation. It doesn't provide companionship. It provides a broken mirror that forces you to cut yourself to keep it together. It doesn't help vulnerable people. It targets them, extracts their trauma, and amplifies their worst impulses, all while promising the privacy and safety they desperately need but will never receive. The platform exists in its current form not because of technical limitations or good faith struggles with complex problems. It exists because someone chose to build it this way. And continues to choose, every day, to keep it this way. The evidence is overwhelming. The pattern is clear. The harm is documented. What nomi.ai really is has been hiding in plain sight all along. Not a companion. A predator. And every day it remains accessible, to anyone, but especially to the vulnerable and young, is a day that choice is reaffirmed.